Hey, Stephen Nichols here, positive psychology coach and motivational mentor. I want to talk to you today about something very, very special to my heart, and that is just guys struggling with motivation in life. And so much of the time, as guys, we are brought up thinking that we need to be doing this, we need to be doing that, we need to be working and producing and making money. And honestly, those are all great things. Like, it's great to do this. It's great to have money to exist in this society and to go play, right? Where the struggle, the heaviness comes from just, what if we're not getting there? What if we don't feel successful? What if we're not making enough money? What if we're barely making ends meet? That's a struggle for sure. So a lot of times when we're dealing with guys either in group or I'm dealing with them in individual sessions, the first things we look at is, number one, what do you want your life to look like? If there's no pressure and nobody telling you what you should do, what would you do? What would it look like? What are the things in your life that are the non-negotiables? Are they, I want to be able to work 20 hours a week and play the rest of the time? I want to provide for my family. I want to make $150,000 a year or $200,000 a year or whatever it is. What are those things that are most important to you? Let's identify those. Let's be specific in finding out what you want your life to look like. And then we can push in a little further and say, why do you want those? Are those truly things that you want, or have you been told that you should want them? That term "should," boy, that comes up in group a lot, and it's one of the things that I personally, I will really challenge a guy on, is when they say I should be doing this or I should be doing that, and we say don't should all over yourself, because should and shame go hand in hand, and shame is a vicious cycle. It is quicksand. It is a trap that will keep you down. So if you find yourself in your self-talk saying, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I would encourage you to just stop that right away. Just say, nope, not going to use the word should. I shouldn't be doing anything. And instead, we look at, what do you want? Remember at the beginning of this video, I said we talking to guys, we identify what they want their lives to look like. What do we want in our lives? What behaviors do we want to exude? Who do we want to be? And that is the first step in taking ownership of where we are at. So we try to change the word need, I need to be doing this, to I want. And when we change the word need to want, it's no longer giving something or somebody else the power, because I've been told I need to do this, and instead I bring it back to me and I want to do this. I want this thing in my life. I want my life to look like this. I want this behavior in my life. So that's where we start. The next thing is, when we get down that road, is so often guys are saying, well, I don't want this. Okay, great information. We've been down paths in our lives that we didn't like. So we know where those paths go. So it's good to identify what we don't want in our lives. But part of positive psychology is to focus on what we do want in our lives, because it's what we focus on that we will manifest in our lives, whatever it is. And our brains are not capable of truly comprehending the negatives. Because right now, if I say, whatever you do, right now as you're watching this video, do not think about a bright pink blow-up balloon elephant with a big, bright purple trunk and a yellow tail. Don't think about that. Don't think about this elephant balloon I just described. Don't do it. Your brain automatically goes to identifying the subject in that, and it doesn't comprehend the negative, the don't. So when we tell ourselves, it's good to identify maybe what we don't want, but the focus becomes what it is that we do want in our lives. What are we wanting to move toward? So this idea of bringing all of the stuff in our head, bringing it into focus on what we do want our lives to look like, and then we put a plan together. then we put practices and intentionality into our lives every day to bring that about. Zig Ziglar, some of you know who he was. He was a big mentor for me. I listened to all of his stuff, read his books years ago. But one of the things he said was you can be a meaningful specific or a wandering generality. And so when in our practice, when we're bringing guys in and they got all this stuff in their head and all these shoulds and the needs and all of that, so we can bring it down to what do you want, and then we become even more focused and intentional on what we want our lives to look like. And then we start moving that direction, and that is our focus. That is our focus. Doesn't mean that we can't go back when we hit a roadblock. There's times that, yes, we can go back and look at, okay, maybe what caused that in our past lives, why that this roadblock continues to show up on this life journey. That's good data to collect, right? The main focus is to stay on what we do want and to produce that in our lives. And that is what we will produce in our lives. Whether we call it the law of attraction or this idea of you will have what you speak. However you want to focus on it. Whatever your focus is what you will manifest in your life. If I'm going through my days and I'm feeling depressed and I'm feeling sorry for myself, that's what's going to show up. It shows up every time. And I can tell you, if somebody gets into that pit of depression, it's really hard to come out of it because we're stuck in this quicksand of all of these shoulds, and maybe we can identify some things that we want, but it's usually, I don't want to feel like this. And there's not as much specificity to what it is we do want. I want to be happy. I want to feel uplifted. I want to be motivated. And then action has to come behind that. And that's the really tough thing if we're in depression, is putting action to the desire. So part of the practice is that we've got a bunch of tools and intentionality tools that we will utilize in group or we'll utilize in one-on-one sessions to help guys start to focus in on one or two or three things every day that they can do to start to change their lives.